You know there's a lot of feuds in your history when there's articles dedicated to every meltdown you've had on Twitter against other people and musicians. Ryan Adams has feuded with a variety of musicians during his career, and today let's take a look at some of those more notable feuds. In 2017, Ryan Adams would take to Twitter to express his distaste for the Strokes, writing in since deleted tweets, "Albert Hammond is a more horrible songwriter than his dad, if that's possible. It rains in Southern California and washes out the dirt." He then added, "Julian Casablancas, who got you strung out on lasagna though?" Apparently the feud may have stemmed from the book Meet Me in the Bathroom, which discussed the relationship between the Strokes and Adams, including the Strokes guitarist Albert Hammond Jr., who claimed Adams was, and I quote, "a bad influence on him." The reason for being a bad influence? He'd alleged in the book that Adams gave him drugs, something Adams denied in the same book. The book would go on to claim that the Strokes singer Julian Casablancas even threatened to beat up Adams if he continued to supply drugs to the group's guitarist. Adams would write up a follow-up tweet saying, "I should have forced them to get addicted to writing better songs. Too bad the Killers did it for them." A person on Twitter would slam Adams for attacking the band, to which he responded, "I sold more t-shirts last night than people who actually made it through a single Void song." He would retweet somebody who claimed that Lou Reed and Metallica's album Lulu was better than The Void's, which was Julian Casablancas' band outside of the Strokes. Casablancas, meanwhile, took issue with the book, telling Matt Wilkinson for his latest show on Beats One, "I think there was a lot of not insiders talking as insiders. They didn't interview my wife, who was basically the Strokes co-manager for 10 years. They didn't even interview her, and they interviewed other people. I'm just not super down with the book." This feud dates back to 2016. The same year, Ryan Adams would release a cover of Taylor Swift's album 1989. Musician Father John Misty released his own covers album as a spoof of Ryan Adams, telling Rolling Stone, "I was taking this dude to task for what I saw as grotesque stunt and matching it with another grotesque stunt." Of course, Adams answered back on Twitter, saying Elton Josh himself, noting that Father John Misty sounds like, and I quote, "like shit Elton John, but if he was just sitting in a corner staring at his hands on LSD." It was the same year that the Austin City Limits would book Father John Misty and make an announcement on Twitter, to which Ryan Adams responded, "It's so wonderful you booked the most self-important a-hole on earth to break it all down for us," while he does his Nick Cave impression. Adams would end up deleting his tweets and write that he was having a bad day and would do better in the future. Father John Misty, meanwhile, would tell an interviewer about Adams' comments, "God only knows where that came from. I don't know where that came from. I really don't. He used to text me a lot. I hope he's okay." Appearing at the Lisbon Nas Alive Festival, Adams took to Twitter to express his distaste for festival co-headliner Alt J. He referred to the co-headliner as, and I quote, "a mosquito bite," and said, "If you ignore it, it'll go away." Benjamin Booker, who also appeared at the festival, took to Facebook to slam Adams, writing a lengthy statement that featured the insult "F Ryan Adams." Jack White has had his fair share of feuds over the years. This was one of the first feuds White had during his career that was at least made public. In 2002, Ryan Adams, who was an admirer of the White Stripes, would cover several of the White Stripes songs in concert, but altered the lyrics. The news of the altered lyrics got back to White, who was infuriated about the changes. Ryan Adams would talk to New Musical Express, throwing barbs at the White Stripes musicians, saying, "Did little girl White talk back? What an effing movie star. I don't have a problem with him. He started it. I know that's what you say in school. But what's he doing on the internet? Seeing what's being and saying, 'I see you changed my lyrics, effing Ponce.'" Hitting his stride, Adams would add, "I mean, shit, I get to shop at 40 or 50 more stores for clothes than that guy does. Think of the limitations. Just buy him a gallon of red paint. I don't get it, whatever." Adams would continue taking a shot at White appearing in the Civil War era film Cold Mountain with Nicole Kidman. Adams would claim he turned down the offer to appear in the film, and the producers instead offered White the role. He would add in his statements, "I don't really have a problem with him. Good luck to him in Romania. It's supposed to be freezing. He must be hating it. You know, they asked me if I wanted that movie role and I turned it down. Anthony Minghella asked me first. I was up for the part first and I turned it down. You know why? Because I didn't see acting anywhere on the job application to be a rock expletive star. You know, it's true. That's an expletive fact." Adams would go on to say he was on tour when he was asked to make a cameo in the film, and he could instead make the same amount of money just doing a few gigs. White wouldn't respond in the press, at least not initially, and it seemed Adams would change his tune as the following year the White Stripes would release their hit album Elephant. Adams would take to his website to praise the album, saying, and I quote, "Maybe the best rock and roll record ever made. I'm so jealous of that guy. He is so tuned in. Just incredible, his gift. Expletive knows rock and roll like sugar knows ice cream." Adams would praise White again in the 2014 interview, saying rock and roll got its deserved hero when Jack White stepped up and was like, Watch me devastate your entire effing industry and all your expectations of rock with a plastic guitar. But the following year, Jack White would do a Q&A, but Rock NYC would report that when one person asked about Ryan Adams and whether White was a fan of the musician, he would say, "I wouldn't want to be him bumping into me somewhere." That does it for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like button and subscribe. We'll see you again in Rock and Roll True Stories. Take care.